Okay, so welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us this session. So for this session, we'll be having Beatrice taking us through DataStore. This is still part of our Android series events. And yeah, if you missed any other sessions, there's always the on-demand video being shared out. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for attending this session. My name is Clifford. I'm the lead at GDSE Moi. Yeah, I think I'll give Beatrice to introduce herself. Beatrice, if you can hear me. Yes.
So, hi everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So yes, my name is Beatrice Kenya. Okay, let me share my screen so that I can start everything all at once. Good job. Clifford, I cannot share my screen.
Oh yes, I think I forgot. Let me just give you permission. Yes, I think you can share now.
Perfect. Now let me share my screen. So, share my screen. I believe you can all see my screen. Then.
Yeah, you can see.
Yes, I want to hide this thing at the top here. Anybody?
I think when you enter full screen mode, it will show.
Okay, let me change that. Perfect. So yes. Let's see this. So yes, this is my name. This my name is Beatrice Kenya. I am a software engineer at Pula. That is my Twitter. That is at B underscore. Two underscores. Then Kenya. Then my LinkedIn is Beatrice Kenya. Yes. And so today we're learning about DataStore. Yeah. So DataStore is the new and improved data storage solution. It is aimed at replacing shared preferences. Just a minute, let me get some notes. Yeah, so it is aimed at replacing shared preferences. Now, in Android apps, we would use shared preferences, let's say, to store the user settings. You know, let's say you have the profile of the user, their name, their email, their nickname, maybe the selected language if you are supporting multiple languages in the app. You would do that in shared preferences. And then now you would have a key and a value for each one of those. So a key and the value for the name, then another object with a key and a value for the email, another key and value for the language selected. And now DataStore, that is in the new library now to replace the shared preferences as to implementations first. The first one is the preference DataStore, which stores key and value pairs. And then the Proton Datastore, which allows storage of typed objects using protocol buffers. So we want to store the profile of our user. So instead of having multiple key and value pairs for the name, email, language, nickname, etc., we can put that together in an object, and that is now where we have the Proton Datastore. And then now the protocol buffers are a free and open source data format that you can use to serialize your data. It's similar to XML, but it's smaller, faster, and simpler. Yeah, and as we continue, in case you have a question, feel free to ask. Yeah, if I'm moving too fast, please let me know. Yes. So,
yeah, go on.
Yeah, good. So now another thing, the DataStore is built on Kotlin Coroutines and Flow. This way, it allows us to store the data asynchronously, consistently, and transactionally. with shared preferences, we don't have that capability, much of that capability. Yeah, so let us look at the comparison of shared preferences, preference data store, and Proton Datastore. Now, the asynchronous API, the shared preference is only for reading values via a listener, but now for the preference and Proton Datastore, we have that via the Flow or Rx Java, that is Rx Java Flowable. That is if you're using Rx Java in your project. Then these are synchronous API in the shared preferences, but it is not safe to call on the UI thread. It could be okay. Yeah, I'll explain the safe, not safe to call on the UI thread here. This one, it can run the IO operations, the writing and the reading on the main thread, on the UI thread, which could result to Android not responding issues and make your UI junky and all that. For the data store, the preference and the Proton Datastore, they do not have a synchronized API. Yes, and they are safe to call the UI thread because the operations are moved to the dispatchers.io under the hood. So they're not running in the UI thread. Then the other thing is safe from runtime exceptions. For the shared preferences, it is not, because it will yes, it throws passing errors, PARSING errors as runtime exceptions. But now with data store, you can catch those errors, and the app won't crash because of something, because you can undo the exceptions nicely, graciously. Then the other thing is shared preferences does not have a transactional API, but we have that with the data store. Every update to the data is considered as a unit. So it is either the unit passes or the unit fails, which ensures now we have consistency in the data stored. Then on type safety, shared preferences and preference data store, they store keys and values, but they do not assure us of type safeness. But now for the Proton Datastore, it allows us to store typed data. Okay, the statement was, it allows us to store typed objects, giving us type safeness. Yeah, that is the one. So now let us look at preference in Datastore. You said it stores key and value pairs. It is safe to call the UI thread because it uses dispatchers.io under the hood. So we do not have operations running in the main or in the UI thread. Then it undoes data updates transactionally. So okay, and data update operations are considered a unit. So they will either pass or fail together. It either passes or fails. And then it exposes for representing current state of data. Let's see that shortly. So the next step, so that you can see how this is implementing. Now, in the Android Studio, the first thing is to include these dependencies in the, so you create a project and then you indicate you add the dependency in your build.gradle. So if I go to my Android Studio, okay, I have this project. I hope the font is big enough for everyone. I couldn't manage to make it bigger than that. So now, when we get to the build,
it's good.
So thank you. Now when I come here, I have this. I include this in my build. You just add that dependency, then you sync your dependencies. Then after that, the next thing is now to create a preference data store. So we use the preference, the delegate a property delegate created by the preferences in data store. So this is what you can see here. And I'm sorry for that. Yes. And then we put it we create it as a top level of the of a Kotlin file. You can put it in your activity or any other Kotlin file. This way, we can only have a single instance of it in the old application. You create it once, and then you can use it everywhere in your app. So let us do that. So when I come here, okay, I'll put mine in the activity. So it's I should do this other in data store. Call name. Just call it settings. And now we with context as the receiver. Okay, I have to get the syntax. Data store. This is data store. Then here we need to pass the. Am I doing it right? Yes. The name of the data store which we created. Data store name. So, I'm sorry, so we just not with data store. What we have here, and the functions must have get value. We just do this again. Okay, we just write it again. Let's see. Still, that does not work. Must have a get value. Let me provide it. Let me see. Oh. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I'll just get it. The easiest way is let's just copy this thing. Just copy this one. See if it works. Hopefully. It does not work. So something is wrong. I don't know what is it with this one. Okay. So by create a property called once. One contact my data store, where data store. Where am I putting it? That's the question. Let's just put it there. It doesn't work still. Okay, I'll figure out what is the problem as we go. Or have it. Let's just do this. Let's try to build this and see what is happening. What is the problem? Let's see what is happening. Must ever get value. Let me just do something because I have the dependencies for it. It could be not right. Okay, let me show you what we can do. But let's just see if we can change these, get these again. Okay, and we still don't get it. How frequencies my data store with? Okay, let's see. Just do this. Just do this. Okay, I think this was the problem. We end there wrong. And just preferences. Let's see. Doesn't. No. I think I'll just remove all these inputs because these inputs are just not working with me. Preferences. Yeah, that was the problem. So we have the instance of our data store. Okay, a lesson, always ensure you have the right inputs. Anything for me? Okay. So now that we have created our data store, the next thing is writing into the data store. Now, again, remember we saying it stores key and value pairs. So when you're writing into the preference data store, you should have a corresponding key for each value. And then now you use a function, a key type function to define a key. So let's say we want to store a string. As we can just create our key here. And the string that we want to store is just the name. So we can just have, okay, should be a constant, I'm not sure. Wow, sorry. Okay, so we'll use string preferences key, just call it name. Constant does not work. I think that works for us. Then, no. Okay, I'll write this method in the repository, then I'll explain later now. That's how we want to find right name. Value context. Then, remember our receiver type here is of type context. Yes. So when we come here, let me just close all those other tabs. We can use context dot datastore. Now with this one, we can use the variable, the instance. Now it provides the method, I think edit. Yeah, edit. Now when we look at the signature for this method, yes, it takes our transform variable. Yes. So all the code that is passed in that as the transform variable is treated as a unit. Yes. So that is when we have transaction operations. It will either pass or fill. It either passes all of it or fills all of it. So now it's just, and then another thing, it is a suspend function, can only be called from a coroutine or another suspend function. So we make our method here suspend. Yes. Then now we want to write to the name, the key that whatever name we can write the name. So that is just the simple code for writing values into preference data store. Then, okay, there's so many things together. Now, reading from the preference data store, the data store exposes a flow of preferences. Then we can use the data property to expose the values that are stored in the. Now we can, let's just write another method here. Fine, get. So let this one, we want to return, let's return a flow of string. So, okay. Use the context object to get our data, sorry, data store dot data to get the data. Now we've seen it exposes a flow of preferences, but we don't want to return the all preferences object. We just want to get the value of the string, return it, map it into a string. So what we'll do is we just do that map there, it's a flow. Then okay, yes. So we are getting the well, like naming my variables. I'm not going to use it. Settings. Hope this thing is going to work. Name key. Then, okay. At name, let's just return an allowable string. So, well, it picks the last variable. This is name, puts it in a flow, and then returns that flow. Now, let us see if these values were actually written or not. Now we can, I created a new model class. Yes. So now we can just write methods to get one, get name. This is just methods to pass calls to other methods, not doing anything with name. And here we have private well the state flow of an allowable string. Let's not make it nullable. Let's just make it string. Let's give it a default string of just my name. So now to get name, okay. Well, repository is equals to repository. Because it is a suspend method, yeah, it's a suspend method. Suspend methods can only be called in a coroutine context or inside another suspend method. So when you come here, we use a view model scope. Somewhere in my build Gradle. Yes, I have these dependencies that allows me to use. Is that true? Yes, that will allow me to use the view model scope. This one. Yeah. So let's launch. Now I can name is equals to the repository dot get name as context there. Okay, we don't need to do this. We can just do this because it is returning a flow. We can collect the flow from there, and now name dot value. So let's make this an nullable string. Just make this an nullable string. Yes. Now, so you can change this into one now. And let's create a public-ish variable that will expose of type one nullable string. So yes, that is it for the get name. Now to write the name, just to call the repository method, just let's do the same thing. You don't need so much to this. Right name. I hope this is going to work. Context. Now, well, when you're developing your app, you would want to write or write or read from the preferences at different points. For instance, when the user successfully logs into your app and now you have the name, their email, the language they have selected, you want to put all that you want to write into the preferences. Then maybe you want to read from the preferences when you want to show their profile. Well, it will depend with your app, but it may follow the same pattern. So let's say I want to okay, when I start the app, I just want to write into the preferences. Just a simple example. So when I come here and write just write okay, let's first of all, we have still using the property delegates. You can get the view model by the view models. So just call the method. Its name with this. This one is just call the method view model dot. Okay, this one should be right name. Then now, yes, in the view model, when we get the name, we update this variable, which is a state flow. Now we want to listen to register an observer to listen to this, to the changes to the variable name. So when we come here, we will just do that name, but it is a flow. That's not going to work. Just equals core. Sorry. On let's say core. Sorry. This is a little bit on flow. Yeah, so now I can share a blog about on collecting flows in the UIs, that is the fragment or the activity. So now get the name, then collect the flows there. So get username. So when you have your name, I have my text view. I want to set the name on that text view. So I can do text view dot text. Okay. It's either name. If that name is null, because it's null, because it's unalable. Just yes. So now then let me call all these methods here. Name to get name. Name. Yeah. Okay, let me start my emulator. How this is going to work. Let's close that. Go back to our project. Do we have any questions as we wait for this emulator to start? Okay, let's run the project and see if it saves that. If you have any questions, comments, feel free to ask before we go to the next one. I think random doesn't take so long. Yes. Now, you can see we wrote this. Okay, yeah, the name that we wrote. It is what we wrote the name and we print the name, and that is what we have here. Yes, basically. So that is everything about preferences, data stores. Yeah. Then when we finish, now we done. Any question after that on preferences data store? Oh, we good. Silence means we are okay.
Yeah, it's okay. I've not seen any questions so far.
Yeah. So then the next thing is now the Proton Datastore. We said the Proton Datastore allows us to store objects in a custom data type. You know, I'll still use the examples using, instead of now creating a key value pairs for the name, the nickname, the language, selecting, the email and all that, you can put that in a single object so that you're writing to a single object. Then now you define the schema using the protocol buffers. And you see the protocol buffers, they are, and it are what? I forgot that long sentence. I'm sorry. So they are a data format, an open source data format for serializing data. Now, to write into Proto, what is that? Just a bit, yeah. Yes. Yes. So we will use the protocol buffers to create our custom objects. Yeah. Then now, okay, the first thing, now to be able to use the Proton Datastore and get the protobuf to generate the code for your schemas, these are the features you need. So in your, let me just show you this in code. When you come to your build radio, the first thing that you do, I'm sorry, this one is quality formatted. Yes. You worry about the syncing data. The first thing that you want to do is you include this plugin at the top. Then after that plugin, all these, I've put all these on the slides already. Then now when you come here, you need these two dependencies. The first one for the data store and the second one now for the protobuf. Then the last thing that you need this, a bit of configuration, Yes. I don't know so much how to explain this, but I've shared the piece of code so that now your protobuf can generate the code for your custom classes. Once you have that, the next thing that you need is, let's go back to the slides. Okay. Once you've done all the setting up, that is what this explains, you need to define your schema in your proto files. Now, coming back here in the, okay, I kind of need to change this. Yes, to the project view. In your SRS, this folder, main, yes, yeah, you will create a new package. and call it Proton. Hope this is going to work. Yes. Then here we're going to create the Proton file. So let's create a new file and call it user underscore settings dot. Yes, now we can edit this one. Okay, let's first of all sync so that it doesn't keep complaining. And now there's syntax for this. I have added a link where you can look up the syntax. So let us write our user settings. But before that, yes, each structure is defined using the message keyword. That's the first thing to note. And then each member of the structure is defined in the message based on type and name, and it gets assigned a one based project. This one based order. Okay, we'll see that. So when you come here, okay, the first thing that I keep forgetting, syntax is equals to 3. Kind of that tells it the proto version to use. Then now we create our object. Call it user settings. And now each member, we will store the name. Okay, that's more string name. We give it's like the indices, so we give it based on a okay, one based indices or something like that. So we give that a 1. Then let's say email will be 2. And in the nickname, let's just talk with that. Nickname will be 3. And when done with this, you clean build your project, yeah, so that it can generate the code that we need. Let's just do that. Okay. Up is it was successful. So yes, we hope this is going to work. Let me just check something. It's been giving me troubles. Yeah, that should work. Now, so once we have our structure, we built our project. This is linked to the language syntax. The next thing is now you want to create a Similarizer. A Similarizer now it tells the data store how to generate your data into the file that you specify. Yes. So, and how we create our Similarizer? Let's come here. Yes, let's just do it here. New Kotlin class. And user settings. It's an object. Let's just hope those are correct spellings, and then user settings. These things keeps giving me trouble. I hope it just chooses to cooperate now. If it doesn't cooperate, you're going to be in trouble. The import, yeah. Then now you implement the required methods. So then default is what gets returned if the file has not been created yet. We'll just choose user settings default. Then these are the methods to write and read from. Can't remember this one. Where we just this one I can remember the information. Just write to output. That works. This one This one we throw an exception, so we'll just try catch block. So yes, return user transform input. That works. Okay, this part of the simple, but an exception. Okay, we'll just check it out. Just check it out. Data store and read. So it can throw this exception. We just copy this part. Yeah, let's import. Yeah, so now this one becomes the Similarizer that will tell the data store how to read and write data. Yes. Then after that, now once we have the serializer, yeah, the next thing is now we can create the data store. Is still we use the data store delegate with a context as receiver. It is at the top level. It's a top level variable, so that now we can have a singleton throughout the project. And then how the delegate has two fields, the name of the file and then the Similarizer. So let us do this. Now let us go back to our main activity. So text, okay. Let's call this one Proton Data. Okay. Okay, data stop frequencies. Okay. So we have the user. Now this is going to get a bit tricky. I can't remember very well what's supposed to be here. I don't think that's going to work. Okay, give it time. Okay, I'll get back to that in a few. The file name, we can store it in settings. It would be the serializer is user settings, but serializer. Now this one, we just look at what this variables take. Text type T. T is okay, it doesn't tell me anything. Okay. Let me try something. I can't remember very well what should be this type be, but in my project I have a data class called settings that I intend that once I have that data store, I can store the variables in this data class, then use the variables across the project. So let us try this and hope it works. Oh, okay. If it complains, it means I'm doing something. No, doesn't. That is not the right one. Okay, let me try something else. Let's try this. Works. So what the value that you put inside here is the name of the structure that you created here, somewhere here. This one. Yes. So now we have created our data store, our Proton data store. The next step is reading from the data store, then writing. Yeah. So again, this one, the data store data, it will expose a flow of the appropriate property from your stored object. So if we come back to the, let me close just all these tabs. Let's create another method here. And read items. We have context dot. So we're now using Proton Datastore dot data. Now, so we want to, let's return a flow of settings. Settings is the class that I created on the other side. It's a data class. It's this data class. Yes. I want to return a flow of this class. So when I have here, remember the data returned here is it will return a flow of whatever we end earlier. Let me show you. It will return a flow of this class. Yes, a flow of this class, more or less. Or a flow of preferences. But now I want to map it into this class or any other class that I may have. So when I get here, because it's a flow, just put the same thing. Just settings. Alternatively, yes, alternatively, because the two classes have similar classes, let's just return this flow without mapping it to an extra class. I hope I don't confuse anyone. So just let us return this. It will complain, but now we have to replace this with something else. You have to replace this with the class that we created. Let me just get it. Just replace that with this. Yes, that will be fine. So this is how you just return the settings that you created. Then now to write into Proton Datastore, write items. Now the Proton Datastore has an update method that allows us to write data. So when we come here, update data, same the update method, it has a transform variable, and the code that we put there is treated as a unit, as a transaction. So this one is interesting. How we handle this is a bit interesting. So we have settings, but something. I can't remember how we're doing this. Forget that. Just wait. I forgot how we were writing that. Yes, to build. Then now we can set the individual variables. So the name, we can just have it as learner, and set name learner. Set email. Email then you call the build method. Yes, and so that is how you write to your Proton Datastore. Yeah. So to test this if it's working, can just know the same thing we did with the other one. And okay, this is very the values, you don't have to encode values. Maybe it could be input received from a form and then you're setting them here, depending with how your app looks like. So you can just come here and okay, yeah, we can just run right. Ooh. So this call is under that is equals to no, I don't need to do that. Don't need to do that. Repository dot get in the repository. It's a flow, so we collect it. Just call it settings. Okay, I want to combine the name, email, and the nickname in one string. So, hopefully this thing is going to work. The email. No, then I let's just that value. Perfect. So now when you come to the main activity, so let's just okay, that one remains. Let's just write out that and settings. It's settings. Yeah, sure. So we have right. I have Retiming settings. So let us run that and see if it's going to work. Something is not happening. So something is just not happening. Let us see what is going on wrong. Get settings, right settings. There's just a minute. Get settings. Let us see if it gets the settings. Let's just log some message and see. See if it's getting there. still is not. So let us look for our logs. See if something is happening. Okay, cool. So yeah, looks like it is not working, right? So let us check something. This is method being called get settings. That is what we're calling. No, 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 no. So let me just try something. Let me log something else at the top here and see if the code is getting here. So the code is getting there. So it's getting here, so it can log this. Oh, I don't know. Let's do this. Was it turned out to get? So let's get to this method. It returns. Okay, I don't know. Instead of returning this, let us return a string. Just return a string. Let's just return the nickname. Just return the nickname. Yes. Then, and if you just return the nickname and then get here, it is just okay. I just return what is print what is being returned. Okay, should not have deleted. I just comment this one and assign things there. Let's see what is happening. Still does not get inside here. I don't know why. So what is happening? Cool. Probably. I also don't know what is happening. Let me see. If I could figure out what's going wrong. Let's see if this method is being called in the first place. So let us log something that method since it's being called. Okay, this is how I debug my code. Just log things everywhere and see if that code is getting there. Yeah, the code is getting here. Now, if this code is getting here, that means it's telling me it is happening. I don't know what is happening. That should still work. It's not executing this part of the code. So let's try this. Probably it is null. Yes, probably it is null. Or let's just try and log that name. I see where the problem is. Can I see the problem? Get settings. Instead of writing settings, I was writing name. Poorly. And configured the wrong method. So the setting, when it was not putting the settings that was required to put. Now I think we'll now get the right one. Yeah, it prints for us the menu. Now we can get the O object and print the other variables. So I just return the O settings object. Yes. So that it comes here, instead of a string, let's return settings. Just don't need this code anymore. We can remove the logs. Then when I get to my view model, I can uncomment this, get a string. Then when I get to the activity, I expect to see the whole string. You can see we have everything that we put in the settings. Yeah, so basically this is how you read from the Proton database. This is how you write on the Proton database. So that is it about that. Now, the next thing is, yeah. So now you have, okay, you have the Android project, and yes, you had shared preferences, you've learned about in DataStore, and now you want to migrate to DataStore. I'm so sorry I didn't include how to do that. Yeah, yes. I ran out of time before I could do that. But yeah, you can check these two resources, how to migrate from shared preferences to preference DataStore, or from shared preferences to Proton Datastore. Yes, they will help you. If any question, please reach out, I'll help. Then the last thing is now that we have the data store, okay, remember we also have room for storing data in Android apps. For data store, you will use it for simple data sets. You're only storing user profile in the app. If you need to store complex data sets, things like a number of tables, there are foreign keys. That is when we talk about differential integrity. You want partial updates and all that. Consider using room instead of data store, and using data store for simple data sets. Yes. So that brings me to the end of today's session. Unless you have any questions, comments, they are all welcome.
Okay, thanks for that. Thanks for that, Beatrice. So if anyone has a question or any inquiry, you can just unmute and ask, or you can type in the chat.
I can go back to Zoom, to be honest. Yeah. Questions? Okay. Silence means you've understood everything, or you've understood nothing also. But I believe you've understood, you've learned at least a thing or two. Yeah.
Okay, so it seems we have no questions. So yeah, thank you everyone for staying till the end of the session. We have an Android series group where you can always have access to the facilitators that we have: David, Ronnie, Aaron, Beatrice, and Greens and Linus are always there and willing to help with any problem that you face. Yeah, so thank you everyone for staying for the session, and see you next Saturday. Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye. Thank you all.